guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a very entertaining and long email that was sent from a subscriber. This is from a guy, he's in his mid-20s, and he shares his story how just recently, like this past week or so, he dodged a warhead with his now ex-girlfriend when her true colors really came out when he ended it with her. You're going to see that this guy has done a fantastic job really making something of himself at a young age. This guy came over to this country when he was 17. He started busting his tail working, helping take care of his family, pursued a career in something he's passionate about, and was making a lot of money at an early age and started his own business recently. Fantastic. And then he meets Sophia. Sophia, a smoking hot chick from his past who got even hotter as time went on, and that definitely took him off his purpose for a while. Like a lot of guys, a hot, pretty girl comes in their life, and boom. And you're going to see all the different, how he ignored so many red flags about her because at the end of the day, because she was smoking hot. And I might add, you're going to also see how this guy, very wisely in his late teens and 20s when he was establishing himself, he kept his distance from the gals. He'd have hookups on occasion, but he was not going to get derailed like a lot of guys do. But then he met that girl. And you're going to see, guys, all the important lessons of you can't let a gal derail you. You got to pay attention to the red flags, no matter how hot and smoking hot they are, how great they are in the sack. And, of course, usually the hot crazy scale comes into effect. Generally, the hotter they are, the more wacko they are. And you're going to see here in this whole thing. So it's definitely a good, entertaining one for a Saturday. It says, "Good evening, SSM. Before I get into my story, I would like to say a few things. I really appreciate what you do. I think a lot of men would benefit hearing these stories, even if they believe their relationship is different and is normal and healthy. I think you do a phenomenal job telling the stories and have a great balance of entertainment and based opinions in the manner of men and women dynamics. Bro, it's my pleasure. It's my purpose. I can now say that I'm one of those guys that thought all I would ever do is just listen to your stories and never be involved in anything worth telling. I never was naive and thought everything would be smooth sailing for my relationship, but never in a million years did I ever think the events of the past week would ever have happened. I believe me listening to your content and others in the space for years as entertainment when driving to work or working made me understand and analyze red flags a bit different. Well, bro, if the videos on my channel and the videos on other channels have helped you, I'm so happy to hear that. And have helped you help you dodge a nuclear bomb, and what we're going to hear at the end of this story. A little bit about who I am. Obviously, all names will be fake to be safe. You can probably tell what my actual name is if you read my email address. My code name is Raul, and I'm originally from Puerto Rico. I grew up and was raised in Puerto Rico all my childhood until age of 17 when my grandma, which raised me, decided to move into one of the southeastern states. I moved my senior year of high school, and I have to say it was a bit of a culture shock at school. That would be an understatement. I went from living 15 minutes from the beach and near the city to a rural town of the state where everyone had a decently thick southern accent and just seemed incredibly different. It wasn't a bad experience, however. Most kids were ignorant and didn't believe I was actually from Puerto Rico because of my physical appearance. I was already 6 feet tall and had lighter skin with no English accent. A lot of people didn't realize the incredible diversity we have in Puerto Rico, physically, and that most of my generation are fully bilingual. Anyways, the year was overall pretty uneventful, but what is important to note here is that I had my first girlfriend. I say kind of because it lasted a few weeks. Yes, I know, she ended up being my first period teacher's daughter, which I had no idea. That was fun. She also ended up being medically crazy and had to take pills. All I have to say is that one day I was walking across the locker rooms and saw her beating her head on a locker nonstop for no reason that I knew of. Holy crap. Yeah, she needed to take some pills. This will be nothing compared to what's to come, unfortunately. Back then, I still believed the whole Disney movie story of me being a total gentleman and I had to be extremely nice and basically live for the girl. Basically live for the girl. Smack. I know you know now, but no, that's not how it goes. As yes, I know, I'll get a smack here, and my 17-year-old self deserved it. I even brought her flowers for our first date. You brought a chick flowers for your first date? Smack! No wonder she was banging her head against the locker. She's like, I'm with a simp. Boom! Back then, I had no clue what the world was really about and how ruthless it would be. After high school, I spent a couple years working at Best Buy selling electronics. I always had a gift for sales, and I made the most out of it. At the time, I was attending community college without a real sense of purpose or direction. Most of my energy was being poured into being a high performer at my job, as my grandmother depends on me to keep a roof over our heads. Wow, that's a lot of responsibility for a young man, and good for you for taking care of your grandma. She took care of you growing up, because obviously, I guess mom and dad weren't in the picture, so you kind of take care of her. Good for you. After a couple of years of mindlessly attending college and casually trying to date with dating apps and in person, I grew frustrated with how women acted around me. Oh, gee, what do you mean? I went on a few dates here and there and had some fun with a few, but overall, I felt a disdain for most women because they mostly acted like they deserved the world for no reason. That's welcome to America. That's pretty much the gist of it. Now, not all are like that, but a hell of a lot are. It was at that time that I had my biggest internal conflict that changed the destination of where my life was going. It wasn't women necessarily that had to do with it, but more importantly, it was the feeling of years passing by and me attending college for the sake of it. Yeah, you were going to college because that's just what you're supposed to do. But you had no passion behind it. You didn't see it leading to anything of importance. You were obviously a workhorse and you wanted to pour your energy into that, providing and all that. It says, my family always told me that I had to go to school in order to be someone. I hated going to school, and I strongly disliked most women there because of their attitudes. In self-reflection, back then, I was probably average at best. 6 feet tall and skinny fat without any workout or training experience with a very basic income. I decided I would pursue my biggest passion in life, which was cars. Ever since I was a kid, I've always obsessed over them, and I've dreamed about owning a diverse collection of cars that I've always marbled and lusted over. There you go. Notice in the beginning he said here, my family always told me I had to go to school in order to become someone. That is the old school thinking. Now, number one, I'm a big fan of old school, however, when it works. The reality is that narrative is dying. Okay? What really should be said is, to be someone, you need to have an education. Not necessarily college education. An education is something that can match with what you have a passion for and help you make something of it in this world. You have to have an education. Believe me, it's great to be educated, well-rounded, don't get me wrong. But believe me, just, having a library card, going to the bookstore regularly on your own time period, you can read everything else and pour knowledge into you. But the point I'm getting at is here, the right type of education. And it doesn't necessarily have to be at college. Mixed in with a strong work ethic and ambition. But anyhow, he realized, I'm going to pursue something I'm passionate about, cars. And when you're passionate about something, guys, it's not work, it's fun. I left my Best Buy job and pursued car sales. My mindset completely changed. I made a promise to myself that I would not waste a single moment with girls as they would derail me from my path. Amen. That's what I've been telling you guys all along. When you're young and you're making something yourself, because when you're young, what you do when you're young, guys, is going to set the trajectory of how the rest of your life is going to go. You can get girls later if you are disciplined enough that you can get a piece of ass on the side here and there, and you wear protection, take care of yourself, but stay focused on your grind. Okay, so be it. But generally speaking, a lot of guys will fail in that department. Focus on establishing yourself, busting your tail to get where you want to be. You can get all the ass later on in life, or relationships later in life if you want that. It was simply not a distraction I was willing to have. I became obsessed with self-improvement and joined the gym. I started lifting weights, and before I knew it, I became a huge bodybuilding enthusiast. This is the thing about me, SSM. Whenever I get into some hobby or passion, I go 100% in it, and I don't give it away to anything less. Yes, there you go. Guys, you got to give it your all. You want to make something yourself, you want to be great at anything, you got to give it your all. And not let things like chicks get in the way and derail you. I went full hardcore in the training and gained a crazy amount of muscle in just a couple of years. I can believe it. Given the age that you were, a young guy, and you were passionate about it and dedicated, I'm not surprised. People at the gym would come to me and ask if I was taking stuff, if you know what I mean, because of my crazy progression. I told them that I was. It was my monk mode and ignoring all the gals mentally that was feeding my growth. Without me knowing, I became almost a black pill guy or an FG towel kind of guy. Every time I was interested with a pretty girl, especially, I went out of my way to make sure they understood I was doing the bare minimum around them. I purposely ignored them, and at work, when I was selling cars at the time, I was very professional, but never an inch over that. Now, I won't lie, I did have a few slip-ups along the way and had some physical interactions with some, but they were overall pretty scarce this time in my life. Dude, you're a young guy, and obviously a man has needs, but you were able to have fun with them and move on. What I noticed back then was the more I ignored them and treated them with no value, the more they would try to interact with me and get some response out of me. Right here, indifference once again. Because all the nice guys are chasing after the girls left and right, but the guy who's taking care of himself, he's on his grind, the guy's obviously looks good because he's in great shape, he's not chasing after him, so it's driving him fucking crazy. Why isn't he giving me the attention and validation? I got to go obsess over him now. It's amazing how it works. It's not hard. Put yourself first, guys, for lots of reasons. What I noticed was the more I ignored them, blah, 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 I knew better and enjoyed seeing them get baffled. I also do believe that coupled with my huge physical transformation really did help me overall. After a few years, I was promoted to sales manager, and after a year of that, I was promoted to finance manager. I worked insane hours, but I loved the grind, and that, along with the gym, was my main purpose in life at that time. Bro, this is awesome. Good for you. I was 23 or 24 years old at the time, bringing in over 6 figures with no debt, which felt great. There you go. Busting his ass, working at a job that obviously he had passion for cars, something he knew, something he loved. He was putting in the hours, but it wasn't work to him. He loved the gym, so he's busting his butt in the gym, but he loved it, so it wasn't really work in that regard. And at work, and he's bringing this money, and he's taking care of his grandma, his family. This is awesome. Look what can happen, guys, when you focus your energy and effort into something that you care about. And maybe you may not be making money off that, whatever that may be right away, but give it time, and if you're hardworking enough, you're smart enough, things can happen for you. I even had a fun sports car I really enjoyed. Believe me, after working 50 plus hours a week, that car was my stress reliever on my days off. Yeah, that and bench pressing. One day while I was working, a cute girl came in to buy a car. Here we go. The tractor beam of a hot chick is about to suck him in. My sales guy was having issues with her because her English was kind of broken. She was from Honduras, and let's call her Sophia. She was beautiful, probably a 7, and was all natural. You'll see why this is relevant later. Soft-spoken and feminine. I took over and helped her that day. We exchanged phone numbers, and against my hard, strict rules against spending time with women, I gave in and went on a date with her. I was 23, I believe, and she was 19, if I'm not mistaken. I wouldn't have got involved with any chick that does business with the auto dealership that you work at. That's just a bad idea. So I took her out for a quick bite in the city because she couldn't have drinks yet. She was definitely into me, and we hit it off. After a few weeks of seeing each other and having fun, I decided I was ready to continue my work and not spend any more time with her. Good. In other words, after you banged her a few times, then okay, clear your head, pour some water on down there, and get back to the grind. I didn't like the fact that she couldn't drink, and it felt it was a bit immature. She was a bit immature. Looking back, the whole drinking thing was my own immaturity at the time, but that's how I felt. I never treated her wrong, and I always told her I was not going to be interested in anything long term. And she's like, bring it on, bitch. And you know what? That's the thing about a lot of guys are the bad boys. Bad boys make it clear. You're not going to get a relationship out of me. You know, don't even fucking bother. And the girls chase after them. I had too much work consuming me. She kept coming to the dealer for a while until I eventually had to tell her in a firmer manner to please stop coming over. Okay, he had to kick her to the curb. Now let's skip over another couple years. I'm 24 years old at the time, and I'm starting to get frustrated with the dealer group I work for. I was making great money, but my hours and work-life balance was outrageous. I developed a skill on the side polishing cars and installing certain protective products. On top of my crazy schedule, I started building a clientele, and before I knew it, I quit my job and started my own detailing business. Sweet, bro. That takes balls. Starting your own business. And, leaving a job that you're making damn good money at a young age. People told me I was crazy to leave a six-figure job in my mid-20s for a detailing business, but I always had that vision in my head. Yeah, most people aren't going to get it. Most people don't have the entrepreneurial spirit, the entrepreneurial streak, and they see a young guy making darn good money, and I'm sure the benefits were good too. I can see where they're coming from, but you're a driven guy. You had much higher aspirations. At the end of the day, here's the deal. If this business that you're starting doesn't work out, you can always go back to what you were doing, right? You're young. You have the opportunity to take risks. I was going to offer very niche services to high-end clientele, and it worked. The business grew, and before I knew it, I moved into a beautiful studio where we are currently at. I'll send you a link to our Instagram page so you can check it out. Yeah, he sent me his Instagram. I checked that. These are cool cars. He's doing a good job. My best friend and brother work with me as a three-man team, and we are one of the fastest-growing detailing studios in the state. We're en route to gross over $400,000 in revenue this year, and it's mostly services, which is highly profitable. That's fantastic, man. He's not making $400,000 in profit. He's making $400,000 in sales, but he just recently started this business. That's pretty damn good. But since he said that obviously it's highly profitable service-based business, his overhead is no doubt not too huge, so he's bringing in obviously more money working for himself than working for the detailing business. Fantastic. Keep busting your tail, bro. Really master your trade. Get good guys you can rely upon. Get some good brand, whatever the name of your business is, get some good branding and logos for that. And in years to come, when you really have, what's going to happen is you keep doing such a good job and you get a good reputation, you'll go from making $400,000 in sales a year to $500, $600, $700, then a full $1 million one day. At that point then, when it seems like there's not much growth in your current area, then you might consider opening up a second location, maybe like a half an hour away or something like that. Maybe get one of your guys that does a good job, he can become the manager there, and then the sky's the limit, really. Seriously, if you're willing to take risk and bust your ass and be good at what you do and have a reputation for honest dealings with your customers, sky's the fucking limit. I think that's awesome what you're doing. Now, guys, as you can see, this guy's doing great. Let's see what happens. He says, Sophia comes back. One random night, Sophia sends me a message on Facebook. At first, I had no clue it was her. Her profile picture looked so different. The girl looked like a model. She was now a solid 8 or 9 any day of the week in the city. I could tell she had some plastic surgery done, and it also worked on her body as well, which was nice. She definitely matured into an even more attractive version of what she was overall. Okay, so she's way hotter looking, both in her facial features and body type, and the same guy who, when she was a 7, was like, okay, after a few weeks, I gotta go back to the job, go back to my grind, see ya. Now he's like, oh, let's go out. It's amazing a hot piece of ace what can do to a guy. And by the way, guys, along with pictures of his detailing business, he sent some pictures of this chick. The two of them together. One of them on a date or something, and one of them at the beach with her in a bikini. He had to show her in a bikini. And I will give credit where credit's due. She's a hottie. I'm not going to deny that. So you can see, it's very easy to see how a lot of guys get derailed when a smoking hottie, a 9 or a 10, comes in their way. It's very hard for a lot of guys to not let their mind go to la-la land and do dumbass things. And before any of you ask, no, I can't share the pictures. We exchanged hellos, and she asked if we could meet for a drink. I was at a different position in life now and had a lot more time off, so it was easier for me to do so. Please, you're just making excuses because she's hotter now and chasing after you. Now you're like, okay. We went out and hit off better than we did the first time. She was pleasant and nice overall, quiet and well-mannered. We spent about a month going out on dates, and this is where I totally fucked up. I asked her to be in a relationship with me. Smack! So the girl chasing after you, now you're chasing after her by trying to lock her down and make it exclusive. I guarantee if she was a 7 like she was before, you wouldn't be asking to lock her down to a relationship. But now you got this bad bitch with you. Now you want her to be your girlfriend. You barely know her, dude. You're kicking ass and taking names in life, and you want to get into a relationship with a chick you barely know. And by the way, you said she got all this plastic surgery done. That should tell you something. That's a red flag about her personality. Smack, I know, yeah. At the time, my life was more stable. I had more income and time, and I was willing to explore a relationship. So I just wanted to make her my girlfriend. I felt like I knew her enough because our previous interactions years ago, so we could just jump into a relationship. She rejoiced and accepted. Oh, I guarantee you she rejoiced. Because you have your own business. You think about it, you're a high-value guy. You're a guy in your mid-20s. You look good. You take care of yourself. You own your own fucking business. You're making damn good money. Don't tell me she doesn't know this. And you're about to find out. As I got to know Sophia, I learned a few things that did concern me. Oh, really? She had a lot of surgery done for a gal her age with no job experience, income, or degree. So your guy is kicking ass in the world, and she has no job, no income, or no degree, no training, nothing. Her skill is her body, her looks. She essentially told me she used school grants and loans to pay for all of it, which was just nuts to me. Oh, so she has a bunch of debt. And these grants that could have gone to students that really want to do something themselves. She took that money and used it for plastic surgery. Isn't that illegal? I quickly found out that she was just an irresponsible wreck when it came to being an adult. But I figured I could help her build good habits and get going on the right path. Smack! That is white knighting, my friend. And what happens to all the white knights? They get slayed by the dragon with a hot tits and ass. We went on some trips together, and overall, I had a great time with her. Who paid for these trips that you went on great times with? Oh, she paid you in other ways. She was always feminine. I could feel the burning desire in her end. She almost begged me for her to do her on a daily basis, but I never could as I still had a lot of work to do, and meeting wasn't as easy on a daily basis. This is how she ropes you in, dude. But she's a hottie, so, enjoy it. She did a lot of great things. She bought lingerie for me and really did spend time trying to make herself as pleasant for me. As time went by, our first issues were always something to do with her personal life decisions. So she's an irresponsible jackass. This is a problem. She had a lot of debt, a bad car payment, and an Uber job, which I kept telling her wasn't a smart idea. She basically refused and was unwilling to find herself a normal job because $20 to $25 an hour wasn't enough for her to survive. I told her that with that mindset, she would not get anywhere in the world. I asked her why she needed so much income now at her stage in her life, and essentially it always boiled down to her wanting a lifestyle she can't afford. Well, it doesn't matter if she can't afford it. You can afford it. Why do you think she's with you? I get that you're probably a cool guy and you take care of yourself, look good, but let's be honest here. I know I'm a cynical fuck, guys, but I'm a realist. A few other red flags I noticed. Oh, there's more? Is that she talked very poorly of her family. She said they were trash and very bad people. When a girl has a bad relationship with her family, that is a major red flag, gentlemen. The times I did interact with them, they were always nice to me. She had 2 sisters, both of them older than her, and a mom. Another red flag that bothered me is that she was not subtle with her hinting at wanting marriage with me. No shit. Of course, a lot of girls want to marry you, dude. They'd have it made. I was told that if that ever happened, it would be way down the line. Well, then she's thinking, okay, big boy, I'll get pregnant. Why do you think she's throwing herself at you? I'll get pregnant, then you'll marry me. I was also clear with her, I do not want kids. There are many reasons for this, but it's just not something I want for my path. I believe you, but she's probably thinking, game on. She says she didn't want kids, but I'm sure that this was just a monetary decision to just continue a relationship. This is the thing, SSM. I took matters in my own hands and had a vasectomy a few years ago after a scare I had with a gal. I promised myself I would never let fate decide such a big thing for me. Well, very smart if that's what you wanted, but does your grandma know? Because if your grandma knew, she'd probably throw her fucking shoe at you. So I wasn't afraid of getting baby trapped. In fact, if she or any other woman ever came to me saying that they were pregnant, trying to baby trap me, I'd probably play along until the very end to see them pay for doing such a nasty thing. As time went on, our relationship mainly consisted of just fun, going out to restaurants, trips, etc. Again, who paid for them? And I started feeling regret of getting into this relationship. She was gorgeous and her body was stunning, don't get me wrong. Everywhere we went, I could see all the eyes looking at us because we were an attractive couple, but I couldn't get past her lack of adulting skills and irresponsible actions. Right, you guys are a bad match. And let's be honest, you're in it for the pussy. You know, I see pictures of her, she's good looking, but still, it's not worth it. Almost 2 years had gone by, 2 years with her, huh? And she still never found a solid job. Why should she? You're paying for everything. And has already lost 2 apartments because she would sign leases without being able to properly afford them. I bet her credit is like 375, her credit score. If it can go that low, I can't remember. Probably. And has so much credit card debt. Huh. I believe that she always thought I would fork up the bill, even though I was always clear in that I wouldn't be sponsoring her bad decisions. Good for you. She had a few nights where she broke down crying, saying she had no money and could barely eat. Yeah, I know. I tried best to give her advice. That was in one ear out the other. She just wants you to feel bad for her, so you'll move her in with you, and she doesn't have to do anything and get pregnant, even though she doesn't know you had a vasectomy. I helped here and there with some of her necessities, but I was always very careful not to sponsor bad decision making. I knew this would end our relationship eventually, as I was the complete opposite. Yes. This is doomed to go. This is doomed. And if you didn't have the vasectomy, you know, but it's amazing at this point, after all this 2 years, that she didn't come to you saying she's pregnant, obviously with somebody else's child. But yeah, bro, this is just doomed. It continues. The breaking point. Breaking point. Trouble in paradise. Who would have saw that coming? Eventually, almost 2 years into our relationship, she started asking for more help and actually started being annoying about it. Well, of course she's going to keep asking for more help. You've been with her for 2 years, you've been effing her 2 years, she's getting her money's worth. I actually helped her and paid for her most of her moving costs into her 3rd apartment. But hear me out. She actually decided to move in with her sister into a townhouse where she could decently afford the rent. Just because she could decently afford it doesn't mean she's not going to then piss away her money on BS along the way. Just biding her time until you eventually invite her to move in with you. Or at least that's what she thinks. I thought this was a small but good step for her to start moving forward and building something for herself. As I helped her move some boxes at night, she just randomly started telling me that she wanted a new dresser for her room. Then you can buy it yourself, sweetheart. I ignored it because I knew she was indirectly asking me to buy her one. She kept on yapping about it, and I eventually left annoyed. Mind you, I just paid her $400 bill to move into this place. Smack! Oh my God, dude. I know you know this now. But God almighty, I want to know how much money you spent over this couple of years with this chick. Yeah, I get she's hot and you're getting laid, but you know what? You know, it's funny, guys. I'm going to say this. A lot of guys will have things to show off their success, or at least unless trying to make people think they're successful. You know, cars, houses that are way too big that they need, clothes, electronics, jewelry, and a good-looking woman on their arm. But at the end of the day, what is the most costly to them in the end? The good-looking woman in their arm. The next day she calls to talk about her day, and she has the audacity to ask about the dresser again. I stay quiet, and she knows I'm thinking about something, so she asks. I tell her how I feel about the situation. I tell her that after all I've done for her, taking her to trips, taking her out weekly, helping her with advice, and paying for things to help her establish herself, and all she does know is I demand I buy her a dresser. Of course, because for 2 years you've been constantly paying for things, so in her mind, of course I'll keep paying for things. I'll just bug him and bug him and bug him, or I'll seduce him in the bed with more freaky shit or whatever. That's what she, come on here. She invested in herself, if you will, years ago in all the cosmetic and plastic surgery so she can make herself look even hotter and attract a guy into her life that can do things, which she did. I guarantee if she was a 7, like she was back in the day when you first met her at the car dealership, you wouldn't be putting up with this shit for 2 years, right? I tell her I feel unappreciated and that it's frustrating and not what I want. She turned nasty, and before I knew it, she was a different person. She wasn't a different person. This is who she was all along. But now she's switching tactics because she's not getting what she wants. At this moment, I knew this relationship really had no future, and she probably just wants to be a housewife to some old fuck that uses her as a SCX toy and nothing else, because that's pretty much all she is good for in reality. That is all she's good for. Come on here, really. Again, I see the picture. She's a good-looking girl. Duh, of course, and she's in her prime in her early 20s. But she has no degree, she has no job, she has no money. In fact, she's up to her eyeballs in debt. She's irresponsible. I can go on and on. What does she bring to the table aside from her looks and body? And that she's obviously willing to take care of you in the bedroom. Nothing. And those looks will fade over time. But all those other things will remain. And no doubt get worse. I speak with her and tell her our relationship is over. And she just goes ghost on me. And then I don't hear back from her. At this point I'm thinking things won't be nasty or bad moving forward. I was wrong. Well, I'm safe from it, but it's still. Well, good for you for ending with her. It's about fucking time. Now we're getting to the crazy. That same weekend, I go with my cousin out bar hopping around the city. We have the best time. After a few drinks, we stopped at a rooftop bar and crashed a wedding party. We're a little drunk and started dancing and drinking with all the people from this wedding. From there, we go to a local club, and the next thing I know, I'm dancing with this cute blonde all over the dance floor. My memory is halfway there, but I spent hours dancing, drinking, and just celebrating my freedom. I even found myself motorboating this chick's tits in the dance floor. I don't even remember what her name was, but neither do I care. Well, she probably doesn't know what your name was either. Good, you're out having some fun. Now, clearly, guys, you can see that he was so quick to move on that he obviously wasn't really that into her. I mean, he liked having her around. We all know the real reason he's with her. I mean, come on here. But he wasn't deeply in love with her, because you can just tell by the way he's like, we're done, and moved on that quickly. So I grab an Uber back home, and it's like 2:30 in the morning. I start getting multiple calls from my ex now. Of course. I'm thinking that someone saw me at the club kissing this chick, so they probably told her. I'm drunk and I'm in no mood to fight or argue, so I ignore the call and go to sleep. Good. There's no reason for you to take the call. You're broken up. End of story. She pushed you too far. And here come the sirens. The next day I wake up and notice she actually blocked me. I was like, sweet, I don't have to deal with her now. Well, I still had her on Facebook and noticed she had posted a story of her car destroyed on a sidewalk. Interesting. Big surprise that she's a terrible driver. Her car looked absolutely fucked. Initially, I felt guilty that I didn't pick her up after she got into an accident, but after 5 more seconds of logic and common sense, I realized she was probably driving drunk at 2:30 in the morning. Probably. Why was she driving at that time of night? Nothing good was going to come out of that. Right, and it's not your problem. Because otherwise you call her up and next thing you know, she's expecting you to solve all her problems, buy her a new car, cover her medical expenses, and all the waterworks will be coming out, and you know how that goes. So I just decided to move on and not care. Thank the Lord. Get back to being the guy that you are, focusing on your grind, making something of yourself in this world. I guarantee these last couple of years, yeah, you were having fun with her and all that, but I guarantee your business would probably be further along in terms of goals and things like that if you had her in the way, taking up a lot of your time and energy. Not to mention you'd have a lot. Think about all that money that you spent on her, not just on vacations and trips that you got to enjoy yourself with her, but just on all these. You were constantly putting out fires for her with your money. Think about that money. If you took that money and you put aside and invested it, or maybe invested it in your business, where it'd be right now. Right? You got to think about these things, guys. But I know you were young. I know you are young and you were younger. And you're all the wiser now. But still, I got to point these things out. So I just decided to move on and not care. Well, this is the thing. One of her sisters calls me and tells me that Sophia is not well. No shit. She hasn't been well ever. She tells me that she has had an accident. Sophia had told them that her suspension just gave out randomly and she lost control. Uh-huh. SSM car suspensions just don't randomly fall out of the car. Especially a newer car like she had. Question. This newer car that she has, who paid for it? Who's making the monthly payments? I knew that was BS, but told her sister we were done with that, and I was sorry, but nothing I could do to help her. This is when the sister tells me some weird shit. She says that she knows the story is BS. She says she knows that she was drinking and driving with her friends on board, and she lost control and destroyed her car. This woman is a train wreck, but in this case a car wreck. She's a disaster. She's an irresponsible jackass. But do you think this pretty gal's ever been called on her shit ever in her life? Yeah, you call her on her shit that one time about the dresser and she goes fucking crazy. She said that Sophia was alright physically, but she started having a mental episode of some sort. She's always been mental. She's been hiding it. She refuses to call the cops because she was afraid of getting a DUI. She is not a permanent citizen yet and has a green card, so keep this in mind. So she left the scene of an accident. That is a crime. That is a big no-no. So she left the scene since I didn't answer the phone and left the car there. Keep in mind they live in a more secluded area and it was 3 o'clock in the morning, so no one was around. Apparently the next day she became delirious and decided to fly back to her home country of Honduras. It was then when I got a call from my friend that works for me saying that my ex-girlfriend's car was in front of my business and it's in pieces. You gotta be shitting me. The gift that keeps on giving, Sophia. I couldn't believe it, but this bitch hired a towing company and told them my company was going to fix it. She also told them that I would pay the towing bill. Hot crazy scale. Again, what guys use to showcase their success. The watches, the jewelry, the electronics, the cars, the houses, and a hot chick. But that hot chick costs them more money in the long run than any of those other things combined. It says, yeah, I know, how considerate. I was angry, but it really wasn't a big deal because I just called another wrecker to take it and it was not allowed in my property. I didn't pay a dime. They did take it and store it to collect fees from the owner. Good luck with that. I'm going to upload pictures of the car so you can see the extent of the damage. Yeah, he sent me pictures. This car is just a freaking mess. A few hours later, I got a call from a private phone number. Guess who it is? The police. The local sheriff's office called investigating a crash, possibly drunk driving incident, because apparently someone was injured. Oh boy. It says in parentheses, I'm not sure if it was a friend of hers inside the car or outside. But anyways, this whole thing is a big mess. The two wreckers are also involved and are trying to claim a lien of the car because they can't get a hold of her now. It's an absolute clusterfuck. That's why she left the scene of the accident, scene of the crime, and that's why she's going back to her home country because she's going to be in deep shit. Sophia made it to Miami, which was her connection flight to Honduras, the sister told me a few hours later. The sister is basically gossiping to me what's going on at this point, which I find amusing. Apparently Sophia went full crazy and started fighting in the airport and screaming. She made a Facebook upload saying that they were trying to traffic her and they were spying on her. She went full delirious. She even uploaded videos of people just walking. Apparently they were the spies. It was nuts. Eventually they arrested her and now she's in a hospital receiving psychiatric treatment. I know, guys, I'm heartless, but I don't give a shit. It's funny to me. Please, with her big titties and her good-looking body and face, she'll just charm the socks off the people in charge there and get out of the freaking loony bin. Not sure what will happen with her after all this, but she is screwed. She even called me while in the hospital from another number, claiming that her sister set her up and she cut the brakes. It's that bad. You know, I gotta wonder if she really is this mental, or she realizes she's in deep shit, so she's going to play the mental card, and she's putting on the greatest acting job since your latest Oscar winner. I asked the police officer if I can ask for a restraining order, but apparently it's too early for that. I don't want her near my family or business. I never thought someone could change from one day to another and go absolutely nuts. I'm very hopeful the law takes care of this, and she doesn't appear anywhere near me as I have too much to lose. Yep. Well, what I would do is make sure you have security. That you have cameras everywhere around your business and your house or where you live. And if you ever encounter her, have your phone on record and warn all your family and friends and all that. Yeah. I already told my family that if she pops up to call the cops and keep the doors closed. If she ever gets near me, I'll record the whole interaction to protect myself. If there's anything I can tell, especially young men, ignore women and prioritize your life. If you end up getting into a relationship, please be careful with red flags. I was one of them that thought my girl could never be a psycho like some of these other stories, but I was wrong. Hot crazy scale. Now, here's the deal, guys. I make this abundantly clear. Not all gals are like this one. Okay? There are a lot of bad seeds out there. I'm not going to deny that. I'm 46 years old. I've been around many of the blocks in this life. And I got like 3,000 plus videos on all 3 channels. I've been here doing this 4.5 years, covering these stories. There are a lot of wackos out there, but not every gal to this extent. In conclusion, I'm relieved that I ended this relationship before it was too late. I feel like I'm Neo from the Matrix dodging bullets that would have come my way sooner or later. I never let her move in with me because of all the concerns I had with her, and I never gave in. Thank God for that, man, because trying to get her out, that would have been, oh, God. I thought that she was being patient and persistent and that maybe things could work out, but the truth is she was just waiting until she could no longer do it. People can't hide who they are forever, and this is why it's important to be patient and never lead with emotions. I'm happy and excited to be single once again. I will not get into a relationship anytime soon, and I'm going to continue focusing on my grind. Thanks again for doing everything you do, SSM. I hope I never hear back from this psycho again, but if I do, I'll be sure to update. What do you think, guys? Do you think there'll be an update? Do you think this wacko will come back into his life? Well, if you all believe what I say, that they always come back one way or another, or try to reach out in some capacity, she'll be back, and there will be updates. So, bro, if there's updates here, definitely send it my way. And guys, if you would like to hear an update, if indeed there is an update, let him know in the comment section. He'll definitely do it. But anyhow, bro, yeah, you didn't dodge a bullet like Neo, or bullets. You dodged a freaking warhead. She's nuts. But here's the deal. I know I give you a lot of shit, and you deserved it. But you know what? You're young. You're your mid-20s now. You're still young. You've been doing fantastic in life. You got a little derailed with her. That can happen to any guy with a hot chick coming their way, Now back to the grind. Focus your energy at the gym. Focus the energy at your shop. I want you to do everything you can to make your business as profitable and efficient and a great overall experience to your customers as can be. I want you to train your employees to be the best they can be. Take care of your employees. If you're doing well financially, I want you to take care of your employees, because you take care of your workers, they'll take care of you. And one day they could be guys that could be maybe potentially a manager in a future location for you. Think about that, And keep growing your business and put away money. All the money you think you pissed away putting out her fires, I want to make sure you save this year and invest it in the places that you feel comfortable with. Invest in what makes you comfortable. This is an advice, guys. This is just what I would do. Make that clear. And really put your effort into your purpose. And down the road, because obviously you're a relationship guy, be much more careful. But here's the deal, bro. As you are doing better in life, and as we say, a high-value guy, you're really going to have to be careful who comes into your life, because obviously you're doing well financially, and I think you're going to do even better as time goes on, particularly if you expand your operation to other locations and all. You have to be careful who you let in your life, because there are going to be people trying to use you, and especially women, since you're a relationship guy. So in the future, when you're going on dates and everything like that, I would not let out for a while in any way, shape, or form the kind of money you make, that you have your own business, that type of thing, because you want them to like you for you. Now, I get in the age of social media, it's very hard to hide things. If I were you, I wouldn't even have social media, to be honest with you. I mean, what's the fucking point, really? And, if any gal that you get involved with or start dating in the future, because you're going to do it, and we all know it, I would just say I work in an auto detailing business. That's it. And if she still keeps seeing you after that, then that's one thing. You don't have to let out that you own it or own multiple locations, because you tell her you own it, all of a sudden a typical pretty gal nowadays is thinking cha-ching, and if you say you own multiple locations, she's thinking major cha-ching, and you can have her repeat what you just had for the last 2 years. Really. So be careful in that area. But other than that, you're doing great. You learned a lesson. We all make mistakes. End of story. And her, she's a wacko. period. And I avoid her at all costs, and I guarantee you're going to hear from her. And frankly, at this point, I wouldn't even be taking calls from her sisters. I wouldn't have anything to do with them either. If they reach out to you and say, you know what, at this point, I'm moving on. So I'd appreciate you don't contact me again about her. Let her deal with her own problems. I'm done. I'm moving on. I'm not getting involved. That's what I think. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.